Well, first of all, for anybody that cares about the city of High Point, it was a sad occasion. The Kilby has a history that of revitalization on an individual level that precedes me being on this council. But since being on this council, I think, with all due respect, we've done about everything we could and then some to try to extend a hand, if you will, to make sure that that didn't happen. The redevelopment dollars and or the private sector deals that fell through that weren't there to make it work. So it's very sad. It saddened me for that area of town as well as the history of the city. I've had the good fortune of being around all parts of this city, and I get very sad coming from a small manufacturing family background when I go around the southwest side of town and see all of those vacant buildings that used to employ people with good paying jobs, paying the city taxes, supporting local charities. So for me, it fell right along those lines. So as far as trying to compare that to what's going on with the core city, I don't see it in the same light. I don't see that our current, there's certainly some adjustments being made by council and the relationships, but obviously the conversation has not stopped, in my opinion, from this council unless city project decides to back off. So I think there's still opportunity there. I don't think it presents an omen to what can be positive change for the city. And it's going to, down the road, time will tell, it's going to turn out to be as successful as we decide to make it be and how much we decide to put in it. And I mean individually. I'll give you one example. I'm very much pro-American made. I'm pro-High Point, and I live my life that way. I sent out an email and some Facebook messages about an opportunity to do several things over the last few weeks here in this town, and very few people showed up. So if we're not going to support what we already have, we better make a real good decision on what we put out there in hopes that we're going to support it in the future. But I'm very sorry that the Kilby is no longer there. And somebody brought up that Washington Street had a real positive appeal for being sort of like a Beale Street in Memphis. I would love to see that. And if we can put something like that together and realistically make that come true, I'd be happy to see that as soon as I would see the street dining first. I'll do it either way you want to do it, but I think it would be a great thing.
Quick follow-up question for you. You mentioned city project backing off, that the city council is interested in a relationship unless city project wants to back off. The question is, the High Point Enterprise reported that the city project had given a memorandum of compromise to council. Are you all currently considering that memorandum of compromise?
I think I know each member got it, and it's certainly something that could be. I don't see any member of this council wanting to close down discussions with the city project, and I, for one, certainly don't want to lose any of the momentum that's out there, but I do want city project backers and folks to know that there are people as passionate on the other side of the issue or their area of town as you are in the revitalization. But in the big picture, we all want to get to the same place. I truly believe that.
Thank you. We'll give 3 minutes per council member to address anything that you wanted to speak to that you didn't get at.
Okay. I guess the only thing that I'd like to speak about was probably the property value issue. I think that I think that property values are a direct relationship to demand. I mean, what you pay for something is supply and demand, you know, and I think with housing, it's not really a question of too much supply. I mean, there are a lot of houses for sale. I'm not saying that, but really, what the price is has more to do with demand, I think, than it does with supply. Supply responds to demand. So I think in High Point, what happened, we did go through the foreclosure crisis like everybody else, and I think that had a certain amount of effect on it. But I think also there's an effect on our property values just based upon people, High Point not being as desirable a place to live. And I think that directly relates to what some people would call quality of place. People really decide where they want to live, especially in the day and age where you can do business on the internet. You choose a place to live based upon your personal happiness and whether you're attracted to the amenities in that place. And Karen McNeil's group did a study not long ago, and this is a problem that all of us know we have at High Point. We recruit companies to come here, but their management and their executives don't choose to live in High Point. And so her study asked them why, and she did personal interviews with them, and we got all kinds of answers. Some of them were, I would never live in a city with a main street that looks like yours, and High Point appears to be dead. And I mean, I don't really need to tell you all this. Y'all live here. Y'all live it every day. So I think ultimately the way we're going to reverse this property value issue is to create more demand to live here by improving our quality of place. We look at other cities. You look at a city like Cary that they have higher, or Asheville, or they have higher incomes than we do, and they have higher property values than us, and their tax rate's half of ours. And it's a chicken and egg thing. You got higher property values and lower taxes, or you got lower property values and higher taxes. But if we don't create more demand to live here by improving our quality of place, it's going to be a constant pressure on that tax rate for us to be able to pay for the things that y'all expect in a town. I mean, if the toilets don't flush and your garbage doesn't get picked up, that's not quality of place. So we got to pay for those things. And if we create more demand and we can have more folks who want to live here, your tax rate will come down. I mean, it's that simple.
I think I want to respond to that same question, but part C of that talks about citizens' dollars being spent in surrounding cities instead of High Point. About 7-8 years ago, we commissioned a study with a company to come in and talk to us about and to look at why we have bleed over. Why do we have this bleeding where individuals are going out to other communities and not spending their dollars in High Point? And when the study came back, basically what it said is that the types of businesses and the types of retail that we would like to see in our community, we don't have the rooftops to support it. That those businesses are located in places where they're looking at the median income, they're looking at the number of individuals who will shop in those markets, and that's how they determine where they will place their businesses. So High Point, even though on its face it appears that it's this town because of, and I think it has a correlation with the furniture market, it appears on its face that it's a relatively wealthy community. It still doesn't have the numbers, the critical mass that allows for these companies to look at it and say, we'd like to relocate, put our retail establishment in your city. And so we also have a very mobile society, and so when people want to go out to eat and they want to do a Five Guys, it's simply a matter of getting in your car and riding to either Winston or Greensboro, and you do Five Guys, 5-10 minutes. So we find ourselves in this urban cluster, and that's exactly where we are. And as a result of that, 5 or 10 minutes in your vehicle is not a lot of time. And when you look at other cities, if I'm going to go from Cary to downtown Raleigh, I'm going to think twice about it because that's a ride on an interstate. But when I look at how close we are to the city of Greensboro, and you can be in Greensboro in, 5 minutes, depending on where you're located? You can be in depending on where you're located. If you're on Greensboro Road, you can be in Greensboro in 5 minutes. So depending on location, it's not really that big of a deal to get to where you have to go to. We're a mobile society. And so at this point, because of the critical mass, it affects our ability to be able to bring in the retail that everybody wants. We had a mall here that had not the best stores, but it had the average stores. We did not support it. We did not go to Belk's. We did not go to Dillard's. We did not support those stores. We went to Four Seasons Town Center. We went to Haynes Mall. We went to other places to shop when we had a mall. Was the mall in the right place? I would hazard to say probably not. It wasn't in the place that it should have been that would have allowed or attracted individuals to come to the mall and shop. So there are lots of things that impact our ability as a community to be that thing that we want to be. And at some point, we're going to have to decide what that is. When it comes to population growth, when I came on council, we were about 95,000 people. We're now at 109. So we are growing, and the population is increasing. And people are moving here for a reason. They're buying here for a reason. They're locating their families here for a reason. Now, is it the growth that we want? Is it exponentially at the rate we would like it to be? Probably not. But we have not lost population in all of this discussion that we've had.
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback on something that the mayor said and then jump into number 3 a little bit. Representing North High Point, I listen to a lot of the people up there, the phone calls I get, the emails I get, and the one commonality I hear is I'm just as close to Restaurant Row in Greensboro or downtown Winston as I am to downtown High Point. I'm used to going to these places. I have no ties to High Point. I'm not from High Point, so why should I go down to High Point? And I think a good example a few years ago, Olive Garden was looking at Main Street, and they evaluated what the demographics were, and they said it wouldn't work. There weren't the rooftops and the economic statistics to support it. So they went up to the Palladium area. Belk moved up to the Palladium. I drove past today, and they're developing a new site for something else right there by Belk. A new strip center with some restaurants are going in on Eastchester, across from the old Uno's. So that's an area that is moving fast without any type of city dollars being thrown at it. And an investor that people are wise with their investment. If they saw great opportunity in parts of our core city for profit and growth, they would certainly be throwing their money and their time into those areas. There has been a number of people looking at projects, but there hasn't been anything done because they don't see the ROI on a balance sheet or what a stockholder would see as value. Bleeding into number 3, relationships with outside revitalization groups. I've met with a handful of outside developers who have been key in redeveloping and having a part in some of the cities that are on the top 100 places to live list in the U.S. And they've looked at what we have, and there's 2 things. They said, one, they don't see anything that can be done in a downtown, uptown area similar to what has been successful in other areas. Secondly, because of our close proximity to Winston and Greensboro, we have to have something completely unique and unlike what they have. Because if we are going to attract the largest tax base in High Point, which lives north of 311, we have to have something unique which would draw them into High Point and not to Winston-Salem and Greensboro. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to find something unique and identify what that's going to be, a niche that there's nothing else available in the Triad except for in High Point. And that, in my opinion, is the way, if we're going to really revitalize, is identifying what that is and moving forward with it.
Any ideas?
She can. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to, and all of y'all taking the time to come out here. We obviously have a lot of things that we are discussing. I would like to say that after all this is said and done, tonight, I brought a few things that I printed off, and they're just strictly for your thought and your consideration. Don't necessarily mean I have that opinion. But I would like to, first of all, you know, I'm 51 years old now, and when I came back to town at age 26 after school and being away for a while, I came back for several reasons. Not because we had a downtown. I came back because I had a good job opportunity that put me close to people I cared about and a family that I love. And I always found places to eat. I always found places to go hang out with my friends. And I found a great community to raise my family in, with excellent parks, excellent recreation, and good quality people and a low crime rate. So much has changed in that 30 years. You can't talk to me much without it going a little bit towards the bigger issues, the things that have happened, the globalization, the immigration, the NAFTA, all that. And people are like, well, what's that got to do with High Point? It has everything to do with High Point. So I think our vision has to take in the reality of today, and I think this council is doing the very best that they can at doing that. I wait getting the study back to see where it puts us. But we're not alone in this effort. We are unique in the town of High Point because of furniture and textiles that we had since the early 1900s. And it made us unique in all the rest of the world. So we have probably a bigger challenge of redeveloping than any other city, because we didn't let go of that furniture market, and hopefully we don't ever have to let go of it. But we can do it as an add to. So I hope that we'll do that, as well as the foundational pieces that make decisions and policy that will attract people to affect our real estate values and our ability to move forward.